All right, welcome back, everybody. This is Passport Nomad, as I'm bringing you with today's content topic, and this is for Asian communities. Why is it that you do not like Black Americans or Black people? Or do you like Black Americans and Black people? How did the Asian communities around the world actually feel about Black people? This subject was brought out today because and I came across this one post of a viewer asking the question about why Asian communities or Asian countries don't like Black people. This is brought up on the podcast called What in the Shabal podcast, and this is on TikTok. So I'm going to let this play, and the question is being answered by Asian Americans from the show. So tell me what you guys think about it.
This actually is a serious question. Why don't you like us Black people? Non-American Asians always gave me the cold shoulder. American Asians were cool, and I often hang out with them. Are they just not used to us?
Partially.
Sad to say, but I know that there's anti-Blackness very much so in a lot of Asian American communities. And obviously, unfortunately, anti-Blackness is global.
Unfortunately, I do agree with what she just said. Anti-Blackness, racism, colorism, whatever you want to call it, it has been going on so far as back as colonization even began.
And I think like
it's a very long historical answer.
Yeah.
Some of it has to do with not being used to it. Okay, so colonization happened throughout the whole world when white colonizers took over Asia, Africa, all the other continents. And with that came the belief of anti-Blackness that was instilled upon all of these communities. Now, once those colonizations ended, you were left with this homogenized community where they don't know anyone who don't look like they're all white, all Asian, all South Asian, whatever it may be. And then all of a sudden you fast forward to having technology and Western media, because again, controlled by whiteness, is pushing out this message of that Black communities are gangsters, do this, they do that. And then that media gets pushed out into the world in the form of movies and TV shows.
Exactly. Whoever controls the media, the news, the movies, they're controlling the narrative of what the rest of the world sees. All the citizens, whatever, this has been going on for decades and centuries, ever since film came into creation. They've even whitewashed history and so on and so forth, creating their own narrative of superiority. I mean, of course, they did this for various reasons to, not to just to, get the population to go along with the agenda or a political view, or say, like, for instance, back in World War II, when they wanted to go to war against with Germany, they painted Germany as the villains ultimately.
And now you take this homogenized community who has learned anti-Blackness through colonization and stuff like that, on top of the fact that it's then mixed with people who are learning about these races for the first time through fictionalized television that is controlled by white media. And then you have this biased look. So when they meet Black people for the first time, they're having to reconcile what they have been essentially brainwashed into thinking versus then trying to figure out what that means when they meet you and they're like, but you're not any of these things. Which is the reason why you get a lot of people from Asia who are having to go through that discovery, and Asian Americans who grew up with that and know that those are things that are essentially propaganda, mind washing, to keep upholding this idea of, and instead of using the WS word, I'm going to say anti-Blackness, because one is,
hand in
hand, and they push this anti-Blackness, then it's basically global propaganda. So then people are trying to, come to those terms. And instead of just being hateful, they may just not understand.
Exactly. And that is why it's so important for people to come together and, create an understanding between each other so that we can unlearn, this racial bias that's been placed on us in a means of brainwashing.
You know what I mean? And I think that's like the short end of it.
Yeah. I mean, I have nothing to contribute. That was very concise. A lot of people are just conditioned to believe that Black people are whatever the conditioner wants you to believe they are.
Yep.
And, you know, like my grandma, the only Black people she had ever seen were American soldiers in Korea. And to her, they were all part of the same group. And then when she came to America, all she knew about Black people was, like you said, what she had seen on TV, what people had told her. And so she was very distrusting of Black people. And I was like, how many Black people are just like everybody else? Like, you know, I go to school with Black kids, like, you know, and she was just like, oh no, you know, they're very dangerous. I'm like, they're not. This is just what people wanted you to believe. But, you know, what else did she know? You know what I mean? She's just this like, you know, country girl from, you know, uneducated, and is told by everybody in power what to believe. You know, my God is better. My people are better. My guns are better. You know, so she's like, okay, well, all of these things are better. So I better side with the better side.
Yep.
So yeah, in the long run, this is the game that's ultimately been played on pretty much the whole world when it comes to every race of people, every nationality. You know, this has all been used as a way to, you know, drive the masses in a way that, you know, they push their political agenda and everything like that. And they'll put out there what they want you to think about another group of people, even though you've never met them before. Like, say, 9/11 and all that. That's when they came and said, you know, that they kept pushing the agenda around saying, oh, these Muslims, they're all terrorists. All these people are terrorists. And then there was an anti-Muslim little campaign thing going along. That was just, it was stirring heat, you know, pretty much towards a group of people, which is pretty unfair. You can't say just because of the actions of a few that the many are all like that. It's not fair to do that, to paint a whole race of people as the same. So it's just not fair. You know, that in itself is racist. And it's you know, it's very ignorant, and that's what they prey on. They prey on people's ignorance. But the whole thing is, racism can be unlearned. Colorism, all that can be unlearned. You just have to, you know, get to know people and come to an understanding. Of course, there's going to be some good and there's going to be some bad apples in the crowd. Everyone has them. You know what? But that's no reason to paint a whole people. As for myself, I, for one, am considered a Black American, and I know that not all Asian people are racist or anything like that. You know, I can understand if they've been taught this by their elders or whatever. They grew up hearing these things, but I'm going to tell you this. I don't hate one Asian person. As a matter of fact, I've served with Asian people. One of my best Asian friends, I served with him in the military. And I mean, we did everything together. We were like straight up buddies, you know, all this and that. I'd go back and forth to war for this guy. Same thing for Filipinos. Before I even came to the Philippines, the first Filipino I ever met, he was in the military. And I mentioned him in one of my earlier videos. And he pretty much introduced me to the thought of coming here, traveling to the Philippines. And now I'm living here and I'm enjoying being amongst his people, you know. But like I said before, there's a bit of good and bad in every culture. Every place has crime. You know, there's not everybody's going to be the same, but the majority, I do not discriminate against the majority for the actions of a few. That's something I will never do. But that's just the way it is, you know, in my eyes, in my point of view. Well, what do you guys think about it? If you have anything you want to add in, if you don't disagree, or if there's anything left out that you want to, you know, piggyback off of, feel free to leave it in the comments. Until then, thanks for joining me. Please subscribe, like, and share. I'll see you guys later.